it's time for the community development segment, my favorite segment when it comes to Breakfast Daily. Today we are going to be showing a spotlight on a very, very interesting organization. This is the CorpsAfrica Ghana. Now, this organization is helping change lives, is helping the youth, is building communities. And I mean, if someone will ask what is their key goal, they are trying so hard to help overcome poverty and also build up the nation as a whole. What I find very fascinating about what they do is the fact that there's a youth involvement in there, because we always say that the youth is the future of Ghana, but I say the future is today. So if anything, we need to start now. So they're inculcating the youth in taking part in their projects and developmental projects is a big one for me. Kweku has been speaking to them for some time, so I'll quickly pick his thoughts on that. Kweku, you have had the opportunity to engage with them. What are your thoughts?
Well, so CorpsAfrica is a very interesting organization, and you know, a few years ago, I had the privilege of, I've been a producer for Diplomatic License for a while, and as producing Diplomatic License, I actually met with the Peace Corps.
Right.
Okay. Now, Peace Corps were a very fascinating organization. How, you know, and you just watch how people. I love volunteering, and I love volunteerism, the whole idea, you know, of it. And so meeting the Peace Corps was mind-blowing for me in the first place, to see how people will choose to give up their time and resources to go and be in a strange land, in a strange place, in a strange community, and give their time and service to the community. You know, so when I met the CorpsAfrica people, I realized that, oh, this is almost like a similar concept, you know, of people choosing to give up their time, you know, and serve in remote communities. Sometimes they've never been even anywhere in that part of the country before, but they're here, so why don't we let them speak for themselves, right? They are here with us, so So let's introduce them to you, okay, so that we can get right into the conversation. We have joining us on the set this morning members of the CorpsAfrica team. I will introduce, first of all, the Deputy Country Director. She's Jessica Setu Musi, Deputy Country Director. And then we also have a volunteer. He is actually an alumnus from the first cohort of CorpsAfrica, all right, Idrisu Isahako. Ladies and gentlemen, you're welcome.
Thank you very much.
How are you doing?
Very well.
Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. Now, I tried to explain CorpsAfrica a little bit. You tell us, what is CorpsAfrica?
Okay, thank you very much for having us, David and Jifa. We're very excited to be here to throw more light on what we do and the amazing things we're doing in the communities with the youth. So CorpsAfrica is an NGO, you already know that. And what we do is we engage young people, actually graduates, we train them, and then we deploy them as volunteers to lead community change in rural areas. It's not just in Ghana, we are in about 11 African countries currently.
Okay, so you said something, graduates. So your focus is on graduates?
Yes.
Okay, is there a reason why you chose that category? Young people, but graduates?
The program is a bit competitive. It's a very competitive program, and we want to use graduates because we believe, having gone through the university process, their mind is trained and they have what it takes to appreciate what we seek to deliver in the communities. There are certain M&E
monitoring and evaluation.
Exactly, that they need to undertake, and if you go through the university process, it's easier for you to
handle that.
Yeah, exactly. So that's how come we work with graduates. No discrimination.
Yeah.
Now let me ask you again, what was the brain behind or the inspiration behind setting up CorpsAfrica?
Okay, so CorpsAfrica is actually modeled after Peace Corps, like David rightly said. And our founder is an ex-Peace Corps volunteer. She's volunteered in many African countries, and particularly when she was volunteering in Morocco, that is where I believe the inspiration came. She had Moroccans or Africans asking her if they could also volunteer and do something for their communities. But as you know, Peace Corps volunteers, you must be an American to volunteer for Peace Corps. So then it birthed that desire to do something for the African continent. So that's how CorpsAfrica was birthed.
Super.
Nice.
Now,
Now,
yeah.
okay, let me come to you, Idrisu. As a cohort, what does joining or being a part of CorpsAfrica mean to you?
Being part of CorpsAfrica means a lot to me. As someone who is from a rural community in the northern part of Ghana, growing up, there were so many challenges.
Where exactly were you from?
Dalum, in the Kumbungu district.
Okay.
So there were so many challenges ranging from, lack of basic amenities. And when I saw CorpsAfrica, I look at the concept and I realized that this fits exactly into my personal and professional, goals. So I saw the need to also try and join, to also contribute back to society, because because there were problems, a lot of people, give back to us or supported us in so many ways. And I think the best way to repay back is also to try to also give back to others who are also in need.
Where did you first hear of CorpsAfrica?
When I just saw it online,
Okay.
we were the very first cohort of CorpsAfrica Ghana. So it was funny. When I saw it, it was an ad that was boosted.
Okay.
Boosted, social media.
Okay.
So at that time...
So where, Facebook or Instagram?
Yeah, that was
or
Facebook.
Facebook, okay.
CorpsAfrica wasn't very popular.
Okay.
And at that time, too, the website wasn't working in West Africa.
Okay.
So I tried searching on, and I wasn't finding anything.
Okay.
Then I was and when I looked at the comment section as I then, most of the comments were negative, like this is fake. Yeah, because there weren't traces. So I decided to do a deeper search on various social media handles of the, countries that were already on the program. And there were only Morocco, Malawi, Rwanda, and Senegal at the time. So when I go deeper, I realized that this is something that is real.
Okay.
I have to give it a try.
Yeah.
Then I give it a try. Later on, I had an invite for an interview. Then I did the interview, which was virtual. Then I had an offer later on.
Wait, so what was it that inspired you? Because you see, I'm thinking about it like something you have negative comments on social media. What made you, curious to keep pursuing till you got the opportunity to actually get interviewed?
Like I said earlier, what made me curious was the nature of the program. A program that is focusing on youth, that is focusing on rural communities, that is actually empowering. Like that main focus is to empower communities, empower youth to take up, challenges.
Okay.
So that was what actually inspired me to actually dig deeper into, what CorpsAfrica is, to actually get to, the bottom of it.
Yeah. I'm curious, Jessica. So this thing began, how long have you been existing for?
11 years.
Okay, 11 years. And in Ghana, how long?
In Ghana, those are third year.
Yeah, so it began somewhere July. That was July 2022.
Okay.
But we were deployed into the community somewhere January 2023.
I see. Okay, now, do you find that there's pushback sometimes?
Yes.
Where does it come from typically?
Our approach is very different. We believe that the African has what it takes to liberate themselves and to solve their own problems. So when the communities point us to their problems, we point them to their assets, that they have the solution. So the pushback we get is the mindset thing, where they see us as an NGO, you've come in, so there's this give me concept.
Come and dash us something.
Exactly. So the moment they realize that, no, these people are different, they just shut down.
Okay.
But then the way our volunteers are trained, I'm sure Idris will get the opportunity to share with you the training process they go through and everything. But the kind of training the volunteers receive, they are equipped to facilitate discussions to the point where the community shifts their mind to the place and they say, look, okay, we believe we have the assets now. Let's see what we can do to solve our own problems. So we get the pushback, but eventually we are able to get over it and then do what we go there to do.
Idris, you look like you want to say something.
Looking at the question you asked regarding, the CorpsAfrica, that was earlier on. It's actually something that is actually empowering youth a lot, and most of the countries that have been on it earlier on are really doing so well, especially Rwanda and Senegal. And it's now almost like a national program, which is recognized by almost everyone in these countries. And it's actually helping them a lot. And like the pushback you asked of, the mentality in the countries or the mindset we have is something that we all have that mindset. So definitely there'll be pushback. I talk of Rwanda. They already have a mindset of, volunteerism, nationwide. So it's something that they are already embracing. So it becomes very easy for them to adopt it. So it's actually something that is very new here. And it wouldn't just be easy for us to, adopt it. So definitely.
Interesting. Interesting.
Let me ask you before, we have a video to show, but before we show the video, when you heard of CorpsAfrica and then you applied or sent a message to join and all that, during the interview process, were you of the thought that this is going to be a volunteerism project that I am going to be involved, or you also had the mindset of, oh, this is an NGO, I'm applying so that they come to my community to help me?
So what happened was that, I had a mindset that this is an NGO, but most of the questions that were being asked were related to, how we can also do things on our own, just like their approach. So I, in kind of a way, realized that most of the communities are actually doing some things on their own. Like I gave an example of Dalam, where the community came up, we are having sources of revenue. And this, our health center, is not, the capacity is not enough, or the space is not enough. Why not raise another structure? And we have revenue from the sea sand, the sand winning and this thing. So the community came up and they bought some cement. And at a point in time, everybody came out, we molded blocks, masons came out. Community members, yes, without support from anyone.
Okay.
Just recently that they roofed it. I think about a month or less ago that they roofed it. And during the roofing, it was the same community carpenters that came out to roof it. So I read that this concept, in a way, is already existing in most of the communities. But we still need to build our capacity. We still need to, enhance it. So that to actually let us all understand that we actually have what it takes to, solve most of our things.
I think so. You know, one of the things I was thinking about as you were speaking was that somewhere in our culture, in our cultural psyche, it exists. But it looks like modernity and, the development of the attitude of give me something quick, let me go, let me earn something for nothing done,
Or
somebody else come and do it for me, that kind of thing has also creeped in over time, But I also caught up with some of the community members, they are known CorpsAfrica as counterparts, yes. And I had a conversation with them. Let's take a look at this. At the boot camp, as it were, of the CorpsAfrica team, and there's a whole lot of volunteers and counterparts who are in training, and there's an incubation of sorts going on here. And we're going to find out, meeting out here with some counterparts. We want to find out where they're from, what their experiences have been so far with CorpsAfrica, and then why they think that the whole CorpsAfrica intervention is a good one for their communities. All right, so let me speak to the first one. Hello, how are you?
I'm fine.
Good. What's your name, please?
My name is Rex Abekamesa from Domnasi near Commander in the KEA district.
So, Rex, when did you hear about CorpsAfrica?
Yeah, we heard about CorpsAfrica. We researched into, we needed a NGO to come and assist the community in doing some development work. So we requested, and they came. They accepted our request, and then they sent a volunteer into the community. And then later, for some time, they also asked us to have a colleague, counterpart who helped the volunteer. So I was nominated by the community, and I had to. And they invited invited us for a training. So when we had it's about some few months back, and they trained us. So initially we thought the CorpsAfrica is going as an NGO is come to do the development project for us. But when we came to the training, we learned a lot that their approach was different from many other NGOs. Yeah.
All right. So, hello.
Hello.
What's your name?
Enyonam. Yeah.
Tell us about your first interaction with CorpsAfrica.
Thank you. I was in the community where a lady came, very fair. So I was like, who is this? Maybe a white lady has visited us. So I was like, let me get closer to her. So when I get closer to this lady, she now explained to me there's an NGO that is called CorpsAfrica. So I'll translate that their purpose into my local language. It was like their purpose is done by, which is the community, duko ye awe. So it's not like we'll be waiting for a government to come and help us, waiting for the government to come and build something for us. So with her explanation, I now understand. Isn't not even related to the community, to my personal life. I can understand that I can do something on my own, not waiting for my parents to come and do it. So that was the first interaction I have with CorpsAfrica.
Okay. What community is this?
That was Guviope Agodome in the Volta region, Ayafajato South District.
Fantastic. Hi, how are you?
I'm fine.
Okay, what's your name?
My name is Yakuba Bukare.
Okay. Which community are you from?
I'm from Napayele and Northern region, Kumbungu. I want to translate it in Dagbani. Now, on a day ago, in terms of CorpsAfrica, ne Kanatia, Benzan NGO, Bempige volunteer ko Kanatia Tangbanmane, in terms of money, Ndanyan Inverso, Bumpa Fest, Nanzamba Pena Yele. So, Nra Zamba Chana Yele, and to put it Yena, Kayelo, NGO Namne, in Kanati Yonosham, Yamale, the Yena that Tala or Nuha Diego. Kaya ni nzongo mbo obiahoshi kanda orabo biahoshi to kanzongo pia wadu nra zongo pia nteno odu kakule ntinyu kom kalabna nto bokom no onyu kan bokom to ko su kabo bandiro to ko di dinyanga kanda buho ya wula nyabe lala NGO ma to kora yema ne lala NGO ma nyala ni vrsha banye banyan santi zankpa te ya msra polo to kanda bo ya wula ye musra kora burse kati nda yelo ye ti yanma gbamene te nan banjirte do kora ye ne to on to sante o min yen sante sham tinim yen yina ka o sante tibe yina o to sante nima na she ka nda banne hale NGO yuko kane te gbanyela ni vrsha banne to nan ben shaw te twele do CorpsAfrica ya male CorpsAfrica tumane CorpsAfrica pi kane domin se ni en ripie kanma na jinya ka NGO shele ngila tamalna ka NGO shele ko nkula arta na yi tamalna hal ne pyango nto bongo biawo shi shabto kana to ba mi ba biawo shi ka to hala arnama de zata bahla yele ka CorpsAfrica lan yelte ni ban borsham ni aizan alafu mpahe anan construction shi anan ben shamane azan simne biarane ama ay bazan alla arpahrne kar kunya bu kamna to songa free ka chan agbahayan yihla ba ka chela banma buhan shalamba.
All right, so you heard some counterparts from different parts of the country, from KEA, from the Volta region, you heard somebody from the northern region, and you hear their first interaction,
yes.
And it's interesting. What do you think? I'm
very much intrigued because, I mean, there used to be a time in our communities where if there's a need for something to be done, the chief says they're going to be to announce, and then we come together as a people to do communal labor. It was beautiful. It was something very developmental for the growth of the community and the nation as a whole. But as you rightly said, maybe modernization, maybe times have changed. So we are a little laid back when it comes to these things. And then volunteerism is not even a thing when you ask me, right? Unless somebody really has the drive or the passion to want to do it. So the fact that this is not just an NGO, but the involvement of the youth to get into the work, to get the work done, is like, I am doing this for myself. I'm not just sitting back to watch somebody get it done for me, and then we say, oh, thank you very much, and all of that. there's so much fulfillment when you
that.
are able to give back to your society, when you're able to, I mean, even if you are not the one providing the funds, but the act of service alone is enough to feel good about it. So this is a beautiful one, if you ask me. And then I applauded the whole team for putting
No,
it
it's fantastic. I love it. I love it. And I wanted to ask you something. Rex, the first counterpart that I spoke to, said something. He said, in his mind, you know, we are here. NGO has come. They come do something for us. So let's see what will benefit from it. But then he realized very quickly that it was more. You were more interested to find out what they needed and to have their participation in even in the decision-making process. Why that approach?
So it's about sustainability. We believe, look, we go around the communities and we see a lot of projects that have been done by other NGOs, and some of them have been abandoned. Ask me why. Sometimes it's just probably a bolt that is spoiled that needs to be fixed. But they are waiting for that NGO that, first of all, put the structure there to come and give them that bolt to fix it. So we believe that when the community has a skin in the project, they will take care of it better because they will see it as their own. So that's where the whole idea is coming from, mainly about sustainability.
Was it difficult? Sorry, before we come, was it difficult getting them to understand this thought process or this goal you were trying to achieve?
Yes, like I said from the beginning, there's always that pushback.
Right.
They see us as some people who have come to give them something, but then the volunteers are trained to facilitate discussions. So the first 3 months of deployment of a volunteer into a community is an immersion process.
Okay.
You are required to integrate into the community. Okay. So you are trained to do that. So you need the help of the chiefs, the opinion leaders. You respect the culture of the community. You know their language. Even if you're not good with the language, there's a counterpart there to help you. Okay. So the whole process of integration, of immersion, just so they accept you and then you build trust. I'd let Idrisu talk about his personal experience. It's better you hear from the volunteers.
So let's hear from you. How was it when they came and then you got to find out that, oh, they are not actually coming to do this for us, but we need
No, but he is a volunteer. He went to the community.
Yes.
So now he arrives in the community.
And
then
gets to,
now, how did they receive
Right,
you?
yes, tell us about your experience.
So naturally, most Ghanaian communities are very welcoming. I didn't have much of a challenge, being received by community.
Where did you go?
I went to Savlogo district, a community called Duko, just around the Tamale airport.
Okay.
So when I got there, I realized that the community has accepted me very well. And one thing that also helped was the chief of the community. He's someone who is educated, chief. I think he knows a lot about volunteerism and other stuff. So, but the main challenge I had is just like we said, the mindset or what is used to be done to the community. Because apparently the Savlogo district or the northern region has so many NGOs, coming in to support the people in one way or other. But this approach is something that is new for them. That is also requiring them to,
contribute to the process.
Contribute to the process. It's not given out like many others. So definitely, as human beings, you wouldn't be, comfortable, doing that. So that was one of the challenges that I had, but for the integration into the community, because I'm from the north, I speak the same language. I didn't have much of a challenge like many of my colleagues had. Okay. But our challenge has to do because you find many community members telling you in your very early beginning that this is your concept in this our community. I'm not sure it can work. Because if it's time for contribution, nobody will contribute. Yeah. And sometimes you yourself, you can't frighten because it's something that you have also trying to, trying to also learn and improve on. Then when you come into the community and they are also new to it, everyone, and you are the only one trying to convince everyone that yes, we can do it. It's not, so easy. Yeah. And the expectations, because like we are saying, we are talking about this is an NGO, they give out. So we are talking about small scale projects, but that will have high impact. And with the participation, but community members sometimes expect, to be able to do very high projects. And that's also a challenge to with the volunteer, because when you try to tell them that this high project, sometimes not that you can't necessarily not do it, but we're looking at how are we able to sustain it after we've
you've done it all right,
Yeah.
but
Yes.
will it
So,
be sustainable after a year, 2 years?
Yes,
Yeah,
that's another
yeah,
challenge, because
yeah.
some projects will require a lot in maintaining, but the others you just need to be taking care of them.
Yeah.
So that
How were you able to convince the people to be part of the decision-making process?
It really depends. For me, on my part, I had to rely mostly on the community members themselves, because when we go, we don't work in isolation. We work with, project committees. We work with the chiefs. We work with the stakeholders in the community. So what I did was that most of the things I leave it out to the community, stakeholders to decide what they think is best for us, because I'm new into the community and I'm just a stranger or a passerby. And when my times come out, so most of the things you have to leave it to them. They will be able
decide.
to decide. That was what actually helped. And fortunately on my part too, the electoral area, there were about 3 or 4 communities, but the assemblyman for the electoral community resided in my community at the time. So it also he also helped a lot in coordinating some of the activities that we were doing.
Interesting.
Beautiful. Ijusu, let me come back to you. As a volunteer joining this NGO or this organization, how do you think, or what kind of skills do you think joining the organization has brought to you as a person?
For CorpsAfrica, I would say the skills and knowledge that I have acquired, I wouldn't be able to quantify it. For instance, I'm on TV speaking, very confidently. Before CorpsAfrica, this wouldn't have been possible. Aside that, the engagement skills, it has made me more confident about myself. And it has also taught us a lot on, some of the M&E project proposal writing, things that I was not even aware of. I have learned all these skills, and I've learned to negotiate with people. Initially, I used to have ideas that are very good, but I feel, I don't have the confidence to bring that. This is what I'm thinking about. But after joining the organization, I realized that we can always push for things and it will happen. And even after the program, I can still see the impact of the program in my journeys as I move on in life.
Wonderful,
Oh,
wonderful.
That's beautiful to hear.
So we also, as I spoke with the Rex and the other lady and gentleman who are from the different communities, I asked them also about the projects that they wanted, to happen for them in their communities, and this is some of that conversation. Tell us about the project that is happening. What project are you working on in your community?
Okay, the community have a community center, which we thought we cannot do. It's too small for us to have an outdoor event like funeral, weddings, any other outdoor event. So we decided to start building a pavilion for outdoor events. Already the community has started building 2 of that type, even 3 of that type. We wanted to do the 4th one. It's at this time that the CorpsAfrica, the NGO, came in, so we asked them to support us. And their training, we learned that since it is our own, there's a community-led project, they will also help us because that is their concept. They needed the community's participation in kind and in cash, so that at another time you will manage it and make sure the community will hold the project in check. Because it has happened that when somebody does something for you without your contribution, probably no money, no anything contributing to it, it doesn't value it. Sometimes it can waste. With time it can waste. So their concept was that we needed to, they need the community's contribution in any way, so that whenever, even after the completion, you can just maintain them, and then you be very useful to us, the community members. Yeah.
Thank you. What about you? What project are you working on?
Thank you. Du koblo me wo mi amile. Volunteer va CorpsAfrica volunteer va la. Eva de no go me na mi be CorpsAfrica menye NGO ke eva wone o. Be mia du ko we awe. Mi va senu so strong go me la mi kwebo. Ablo menye nu kele le vevere na mi. Mi aten awe de yo pe pekperon ta mi va ko ablo me de tome. Ta ablo menye nu ko mi le. Tepe mi wo ku tepele. Tepe mi pe la be du ko. Tepe mi die susu la be du ko ayenye ablo la me. Ta nya ablo menye nu si e wo mi le fie.
Ntanso ne tenen yama ne tigbam ne temie banjirte nti tamanga to yamale dalerche de mi cheka te gba ne temie banjirte ma ba yishele ay kana te yule bi hago pune de ma vi pamne akana te da banjira nyin zabelfu haltenye ayena mamanga ne dabya no zam to nlan pahe de mala barna tin permoirne nti damder banjirte ma te banjirte damdo she wa'ra biane nti pahe nuanse de zo chemaka la abin ma ti ye ti niŋ lim pa shɛli din baligi laabin maa lan pahi ti mala mɔɣa ka di mali koma shɛɣuni ti damni baanjira sɔŋ kom ni tooi ʒi binni maa ti niŋ ti mɔɣa maa puuni ka ti nyum ti nyuli naa din tooi gbahi ti dɔriti nimaani shee ka ti yuli ka nya n yɛli ni di tumi ni ti niŋ wula ti bo sabta ti ti maŋa din yɛn che ka di baligi ti dɔriti din che ka ti pii baanjira maa ti ti maŋ maa.
All right, so you've heard from the horse's own mouth, as it were, directly about why they chose the various projects that they chose and so on. But it's interesting to hear them talking about why they chose those projects that they chose. And I find it interesting how Rex makes your point, that he says that without owning the project, well, you do the project. Okay, you've done it, you've built it, but we're not interested. You know, but once we are part of the project, decision making plus implementation, then it's ours. It's, we feel every day we wake up, this is our thing.
Absolutely.
You know, and this is very interesting.
Very, very interesting, because the lady that spoke, Eve, she mentioned the fact that they needed a community center where they could hold their meetings, they could do their funerals, community gatherings and whatnot. So that is what they are working on. So for the longest time, they didn't have this until CorpsAfrica came to want to lend a helping hand for them to do. So this is something they are going to hold so dear to their hearts, and then maintain it. Off air when we were on break, I was talking to Jessica about the fact that this is going to inculcate some high level of maintenance culture in the people as a whole, because in their minds,
ownership.
I did this, so I am supposed to take care of it for it to last me as long as I want to use it. So this is a beautiful one. But it just, let me come back to you. Since you joined CorpsAfrica, what are some of the projects that you have embarked on? Can you name a few?
So CorpsAfrica, one unique aspect of CorpsAfrica is that we are non-sector specific. We go into communities with open mind. I mean, not predetermined, with no any predetermined agenda. You go there, you facilitate discussion among community. Whatever the community think that this is important, and you come together with the community and you all think it's feasible to do it. So I did a project on water, others did on toilet, some did on skills training for young girls. Others also did community center, and schools. I think CHIPS compound schools. Depending on the community, their need, their asset, because we are matching the need to the asset. We are looking at using community own asset in their own development. So we look at, because we know they are for the needs. They are what? Unlimited. We all have unlimited needs. So they are unlimited. But you look at them and look at the resources at your disposal. Then you begin matching the resources to the various problems that you have. Which of them can our resources easily, solve? Then you match it to it.
Beautiful.
You know, there are some other volunteers who were in a separate cohort after, because he was in the first cohort. There's another cohorts have come, right? And I spoke to some of them as well. Let's take a look at this one. Speak to some volunteers. Now, this is the part that is fun for me, because I know what it's like to volunteer. And, you know, there's so many things that go through your mind as you're thinking about what you're doing. Am I even doing the right thing? And all of that. Well, two lovely ladies and a gentleman have joined me right here. I'm going to get right into the conversation. Hello.
Hi,
Your name, please?
my name is Rafia Idi, and I currently serve in Avenue Women Camp within the whole West and South Diane district in the Volta region of Ghana.
Is it where you're from?
No, please. I come from the Savannah region, but I stay in Tamale. So this is actually my first time in the Volta region as a CorpsAfrica volunteer.
Have you done anything like this before?
No, I've never volunteered with any organization. I joined CorpsAfrica immediately after my national service.
Wow, interesting. What about you? What's your name?
My name is Jude Hualali Sabla, and I'm serving in Abroviano in the KEA municipality in the central region. So for volunteering, I have done volunteering before, but not in this light, like having to live in the community like full-time the entire time. That is something new for me, yes.
Very interesting. All right, what about you?
Yeah, my name is Miriam Akatandem Gedema, and I'm serving in Wudua in the Kumugo district in the northern region. Yeah.
Is that where you're from?
No, please, but I am actually quite privileged. I grew up there in the northern region. Okay. Yeah.
That's interesting. So is it very different being in that community compared to where you grew up, or because it's within the same larger area, there isn't too much difference? What's your experience been?
Okay, so it's very different. I actually grew up in the same district, and so going back there, I felt like I'm going back where I grew up, but I got there and the experience is very different from where I grew up.
Share with us. How so?
Okay, so I grew up in a very Christian community, but where I'm serving right now, it's Muslim dominated. And so we have the differences in religion. That's one thing. We also have the other thing being the level of education. So where I grew up, it was a community of people that are very educated, but I got to like serve in a community that is, as much as we have educated people, it is not as compared as where I grew up in. Yeah.
What about you? The experience of where you find yourself now, is it anything similar to what you're used to?
No, for me, I grew in the southern sector of Ghana, Nkofo-Edua, Accra. So I'm serving in central region, and I thought, because they speak Fanti is close to Chi, so I'm just going to get it. But I got to a point, the Fanti, they will speak for like 3 minutes. I'm not getting what they are saying. I have to like keep asking what's going on. And one major thing that also was a challenge for me in my community was the network. They have a terrible both internet and mobile network, so it was difficult communicating, and also that was one thing that they had to adapt to in the community. It was entirely different from where I used to be. Yeah.
Now, what about you? What can you say about your experience?
Okay, for me, I feel like I came from a different African country into my own country because I'm a Ghanaian. I was born and raised in Ghana, but this is actually my first time in the Volta region. So everything is new to me. Talking about the language, talking about the food, the religion. I'm a Muslim, and this is a Christian-dominated community. And so they even do a lot of practices that do not align with my religion, because this is a community that is well known for producing palm wine, alcohol, consume pork, and all those stuffs. And it doesn't align so well with my religion. But I've been there for about 7 months now. And for now, I think I've become used to the lifestyle and culture. They say it's dynamic. That is their culture. That's the way of life of the people. And I've grown to accept it. And they even feel like, some of them always talk good about Muslims, and they say, "Oh, I like the way you cover your hair," and things like that. And it's been amazing. It's been amazing.
So for me, I'm fascinated by your story because here we are living in a country that is supposed to be, Muslims are here, Christians are here, and it's almost as if it's an issue, but you don't sound like it's an issue in your community.
No, it's not an issue. It's not an issue at all. I mean, they are very open-minded people. I mean, the first time I got there, they actually thought I was a Christian, but after mentioning my name, the name Rafia resonates. Yeah. So when they heard the name, they knew straightforward that I was a Muslim, and some of them are actually lived in Zongo areas, and so they have an idea of what the Islam religion is about.
All right. So you heard the conversations that we had with them. What fascinated you about that?
What fascinated me was the gentleman that says he thought living in Kufuor and Accra was good enough for him to speak Chi, and then you go and meet your meter. People are speaking Fanti, and you think that your normal Asante Chi or Kiapim Chi is enough for you to interact with them. That's language barrier right there. But the fact that he was able to still navigate through the language barrier and then get an understanding of what they wanted and be able to help is beautiful.
It is beautiful. There's something that struck me earlier about the idea that we link needs with assets. You mentioned it, Idrisu mentioned it as well, needs with assets. Talk to us about the importance of doing that, because you see, as a nation, we're always talking about development, we need to do this, we need to do that, we need everything. But we realize that oftentimes there's no needs and assets matching in terms of the big agenda of developing Ghana. There is no matching of needs and assets. But what you're doing at the community level is saying, listen, what do you already have? How can we use what you have to help you to get what you need? Talk to us about that.
For us, we train the volunteers to actually help the community identify what they have. There's something we call community mapping. When the volunteers go into the communities, their first 3 months, as part of their integration activities, they lead the community members to map out their community. It's a deliberate exercise to identify each asset in the community. And sometimes they have things that they don't feel...
They don't value.
They don't value,
even see it's an asset.
So for instance, to start with, the community members themselves, the human capital, the people in the community are their number one assets. Sometimes you have certain skills that have been underplayed. For instance, there are carpenters in the community, there are masons in the community, there are teachers in the community, there are good storytellers in the community. Some people can tell the history of the community in such a way that it sells the community, you understand? And these are all assets that people don't value. And they haven't been identified because nobody has been deliberate about it. So we do, by the time the community mapping is done, they are awed by themselves. They marvel that, okay, we didn't even know that this market could be a good asset. Because sometimes the location of the market is in itself an asset.
Okay.
The positioning of probably the river that runs through the community, a certain tree that is positioned somewhere, the location of the chief's palace. You know, there's so many things that the community, the volunteer helps them to identify that hitherto they didn't know could be of use to them. So that's what we do in identifying the assets that are in the community. So by the time we go through this process, like a light bulb, they go, oh, okay, we can actually do this here. We can do this. This land is lying fallow. We can actually do this on this land. You know, a whole lot of ideas come to play.
Fantastic.
Jessica, that brings me to my next question. In identify the assets here, how do you even select the communities in the first place to reach out to them to want to help them?
Great question. So we have officers on the field. We call them volunteer liaisons. They are there to help the volunteers to effectively work, and also they do the underground work before the volunteers come in. You heard the gentleman, the counterpart from the Commander District, saying that they applied. What we do is these volunteer liaisons go around scouting for communities. So currently we have a volunteer liaison in the north, we have one in the south central region, and then we have one in the Volta region, and that's where our projects or our volunteers are deployed to. So what they do is they map out the districts and go into the community, just like cold calls. They go there, they ask to meet the chief or assemblyman, and they go through the chiefs, through the district council or municipal assembly, and then sell the CorpsAfrica concept to them and tell them who we are, what we do, what we seek to do with the community. And if they are interested, then we give them the application form, then they go through the application process and then apply to for a volunteer to be deployed to the community.
Wow.
Let's take a look at the last part of my conversation with the volunteers. So let me ask you, the CorpsAfrica program, how important do you think it is that young people like yourself should be involved in such volunteering campaigns and volunteering activities in our own country?
Okay, joining CorpsAfrica has made me grow so much I've grown so much. I mean, there is no place I can go right now that I will not be able to survive. I've seen it all. As a young person who is still trying to even find my career path and going through all the training, intensive training, I can even say the CorpsAfrica 1-year program is even more than a 4 years university degree. I'm a graduate, completed the University for Development Studies. But what I have learned in CorpsAfrica, even the university couldn't provide me that kind of training. I mean, in our final year, we do what we call thesis, project write-up. These are all theoretical stuff we do. But now you are hit to the ground. You are on the ground, you know how it feels, and you do it. So.
Wow. You share with us, what about you? Your experience as CorpsAfrica, and how important has your volunteering been to the community?
So we talk about how we want Ghana to improve in a certain way, and I believe in the shared responsibility of development. We, the youth, have to take charge when it comes to development, go to these communities, empower the communities to own their own development from the grassroots, so that the Ghana we wish to see in some years, we can actually achieve it. We have to walk the talk, not only talk about it, lambast people we assume have to do the work. We also have to get our hands in the game and make sure that we push Ghana to where we are looking for it to be.
If CorpsAfrica hadn't brought this program, how much of a loss will the community in KEA that you're in, how much of a loss would it have been to them?
It would have been at a great loss, because aside the primary project we embark on, we have a lot of skills training. We engage in the community members. So we do soap making, digital marketing, a whole range of training depending on the need of the community. So aside the primary projects we embark on, the community members themselves find business-related skills that personally they can use to enhance their financial status and all those. So aside that, before we leave the community, we leave them at a better place, so that going forward, they can all by themselves contribute to what they do and embark on other projects. For my community, there were 2 other projects they wanted to do, but now we are working on one. And with the other, they assured me that, when you leave, you are going to work. And actually, they've started one. That shows the mindset change. And now they need for them to take charge of their development, and them actually showing it that now we understand this process. So it's very, very, very effective in these communities.
What about you? The importance of CorpsAfrica in terms of, this intervention that they've brought?
Yeah, so I'd say it has been very important, extremely for that matter. And I'll give a case scenario. So upon getting deployed into my community, I think the first 2-3 months, I realized that the children were sitting under trees instead. So they had a dilapidated classroom block, I think about 6. And through our meetings with I think we started with the youth, and then by the end of the first 2-3 meetings, we decided that we're going to come up with a youth group that would see to the progress of the community, just at the level of the youth. And it would amaze you that by the 4th month, they had raised a pavilion for the kids. And as it stands right now, as much as we don't have a classroom block, but they've been able to do something for themselves in the meantime. That aside, just as my colleague said, we've had several trainings with the women, with the children, with the youth. And one of the things is the fact that we are actually trained to go and train them, not just to go and tell them what to do, but you serve as a catalyst, you facilitate. And so by the end of the day, you'd be leaving, but you're not just leaving with everything that you came to the community with. So the other example also that I'll be giving is the fact that the children in the school are just exposed to contact hours, that's it. And so after school, we have teachers going back to the communities they are coming from. But from me living in the community and getting to spend time with the kids, we've had them improve a lot. In English, how they speak and write, we've had the Technical Institute also just becoming better at what they do, because we had some challenges there, and then through first aid training that I had with them, they've become better. So if any case comes up in the absence of a teacher, they're able to handle themselves. So I think this is very important.
I'm stoked. I'm impressed. It's mind blowing to see that young people like this are taking it upon themselves to be part of a program that CorpsAfrica is doing, and I just trying to imagine what will Ghana look like, let's say in 20 years, if this, intervention.
Kweku, I am lost for words, but I need to find the words.
Why?
Because I see the fact that Rafia made mention that she's a graduate from a tertiary institution. She's gone through the 4-year education program, but she's testifying highly about the impact CorpsAfrica has given her.
Within 7 months is even more than the 4
year
years.
Period she studied in the tertiary institution. And you could see the genuine excitement on their faces. They are very happy about the impact, and that's beautiful. It's one thing for someone to enjoy what they are doing, and it's different when the person is actually very fulfilled that, oh, this is what I wanted to do, and I'm getting impact for what I am doing. So again, kudos to the whole CorpsAfrica team for putting this together. Now, Idrisu, quickly, what do you think about what Rafia said?
I think that answers the very first question David asked. That is why do they consider graduates? Because most of the institutions that we attend, we learn the theoretical knowledge, and we are not able to get the practicals very well because of the numbers and other staff, limited staff with high number of students. It will be very difficult to, undergo rigorous and practical training in the schools. But this is an opportunity that actually allow the graduate to get the necessary experience that would prepare them very well for the working world. When you go through the CorpsAfrica service and you go into any field, any industry, you'll be able to thrive. And we've have testimonies of how CorpsAfrica alumni all over the country are thriving in so many spaces currently. From US, Canada, Rwanda. Most of the CorpsAfrica alumni, immediately after their service, when they put on their application and they put their CVs, when the recruiter said, no, you are the one we are looking for.
Jessica, now one may be asking that CorpsAfrica is doing all of this. Many people are rich, you have money, you have lots of money to spend. How are you getting funding to do all this?
That's a very good question, Jifa. And so our primary funder is actually MasterCard. It's one of the initiatives of MasterCard Foundation. And however, in the communities, like we've been talking about for the past 45 or so minutes, we encourage community fundraising as well. So it's sort of like a matching grant. So we have some set funds ready to support the community with, and we encourage the community to also raise funds to match it, and then the project is implemented. But we are primarily supported by MasterCard Foundation.
Actually, I have a comment to make on this because I was, I volunteered to help with fundraising on the most recent, what they call Pitch Day. Now, the Pitch Day is actually a very competitive day where every community that has a project has to come and justify why their project must be funded. And I thought that was very interesting.
It's actually modeled after the Shark Tank
I don't know if you heard of Dragons Den, Shark Tank. That's a similar concept. So you come and you have to justify why your community project
must be funded.
And the interesting thing is that the volunteer for the community plus a counterpart for the community are the two people doing the presentation. PowerPoint presentation, everything. And you have to defend it and say why the last 20,000 that you need for your project to be finished.
Why should
give it to you?
Why should they give it to you?
And that's the beauty of this concept. You know, I said earlier that we are projecting the community. In as much as we are there to help them solve their problems, we can't solve all the problems in the community. So we go, we do our bits, and then we open them up to corporate Ghana that, look, there's a community somewhere in the Kumbungu district that needs a number of things. We started, come in. And usually by the time we are done, a whole host of NGOs start trooping in there because they now see, oh, okay, this is something we can connect with, this is something we can help to solve.
Iska, on that note, how one may be watching a young person, a graduate who is very much interested in joining CorpsAfrica. How is the selection process done and who qualifies to be a part of you?
Okay, so it's a very competitive process, like I said, and the application process is quite rigorous. This year, for instance, we received over 2,000 applications, and we're only looking to take 40.
Wow.
What? And the thing also is we're promoting Pan-Africanism. So we have other CorpsAfrica volunteers from other African countries coming to serve in other African countries. So this year, for instance, we are expecting 6 CorpsAfrica volunteers who have served in their countries already, and they are coming in as exchange volunteers to serve in. So they have already taken some space, and then the rest we give to the locals. So like Isaaku said, the application is usually on LinkedIn, social media, LinkedIn, Facebook. You go to our website, www.corpsafrica.org. You can find the applications. Currently, applications are closed. We're actually done with interviews for cohort 3, and they should be coming in for training sometime in August. But be watching out on LinkedIn. Follow us on LinkedIn. Go to our website, Facebook, and next year, I'm sure when the applications come out, you can encourage your niece, your nephew, your neighbors to apply.
Let me ask you, as we are wrapping up, let me ask you, are you surprised, or do you ever get surprised that people would choose to volunteer in a remote community somewhere? Does it ever surprise you?
Oh yes, I got the shock when I joined CorpsAfrica. I've been in the banking sector for over 17 years, and I was always wondering, when I befriended, I also volunteered for CorpsAfrica prior to joining them. And I was surprised when the concept of volunteerism was being talked about. I was skeptical because I knew that, look, a typical Ghanaian youth, what's in it for me? Who's paying what? How much is being paid and all that? But then the country director, Moses Kofi, invited me to help to interview volunteers. And I was surprised. The first cohort, the cohort that Idrisu was part of, I actually interviewed Idrisu. And I was surprised at the number of applications that had come through already, you know. And as I was saying, this year we got over 2,000. Some are already come in as seeking employment, you know already, they're looking for work. But then you have people who are genuinely seeking to volunteer. I've interviewed, this past week I've been interviewing about 23 applicants, and you see the heart and the passion to do something, and they're already doing it. It's not just because it's CorpsAfrica. They're already doing it, and that's what we are looking out for. Somebody who has the heart, because you're going into deprived communities and you're living under,
there's no money there.
You're living under harsh conditions, and you're being encouraged to facilitate change. It's not an easy thing to do. You must have the knack for it.
Right. It just wants to say something very quickly.
Final word for you.
Very quickly.
Final word.
Final word. We're wrapping up.
Okay. So I conclude by the Chinese proverb that says, if you, give a man a fish, you have fed him for a day. But if you teach him how to, catch fish, you have fed him for a lifetime. So I think CorpsAfrica is just doing something similar to this. We are trying to, teach the people how to, catch the fish, so that they wouldn't need to, go and beg fish and other things. So I love that very much. That's a very powerful way to end the conversation.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you for having us.
It's been great.
I'm sure our viewers too have really enjoyed this. And you're going to be inundated with more requests. Yeah, but as you said, it's closed for the year. But anyway, you know, there's more to come later. So thank you very much for coming once again.
Thank you, David and Jifa, for having us.
We've been speaking with Jessica Setu Musei. She is the Deputy Country Director with CorpsAfrica, as well as Idrisu Isahaku. He is he's a volunteer from the first cohort of CorpsAfrica in Ghana. And this has been a fantastic conversation on the community development